Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited, Disney seeking UAV exemption for flying drones in their parks, the original 1963 Boeing 727 to fly again, airplane anniversaries to be celebrated at AirVenture 2016. I'm Bree Cross. It's January 20th, 2016, and this is Airborne Unlimited. Walt Disney World outside of Orlando and Disneyland in Southern California are covered by restricted airspace that does not allow UAV operation. But Disney is over putting a GoPro on Tinkerbell to get aerial shots, and now the entertainment giant hopes to be able to fly their own UAVs within those restricted areas for its own purposes. The company has filed for a Section 333 exemption to fly what it calls Flixels, aircraft that are, quote, based on traditional unmanned aerial system platforms and include advanced control and positioning technology, onboard sensors, and advanced wireless communication solutions. The Orlando Sentinel reports that the company said in its application that it would not fly the aircraft over guest areas and not above 150 feet above the ground. The flights would mostly take place over water features in the park and in restricted areas. They would be used for park entertainment productions, including fireworks. It's been our experience that Disney is actually the most magical place in the universe, and it normally gets what it wants, so do not be surprised to read that the exemption has been granted. The Museum of Flight is now within a few weeks of finishing a 25-year effort, restoring the historic first Boeing 727 and flying it to the museum for permanent exhibition. This unique jet has not been airborne since it was donated to the museum by United Airlines in 1991 in an unflyable condition. It has been under restoration ever since by volunteer crews at the museum's Restoration Center and Reserve Collection at Payne Field in Everett, Washington. First flying in 1963, the sleek, innovative 727 introduced the jet age to millions of new passengers around the globe. The prototype's flight will help kick off the museum's year-long recognition of the Boeing Company's centennial. With a special flight permit and only the cockpit crew on board, the 727 will be flown directly to the museum at Boeing Field as early as the first week in February. This ferry flight to the Boeing Field will be the Tri-Jet's last air trip, as it will join the museum's prototypes Boeing 737 and Boeing 747 for permanent exhibition in the museum's new aviation pavilion this summer. After the break, aircraft to be honored at AirVenture 2016.
Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
Based on the popular Sling 2 LSA, the Sling 4 was designed to be the most practical and desirable lightweight four-place experimental aircraft on the market. Find out more about this 115 horsepower turbocharged airplane at airplanefactory.com.
Welcome back. If you would like to be a supporter of Airborne Unlimited, send an email to jim@aero-news.net. Over the years, we have reported about certain milestones being celebrated at EAA AirVenture. This year, EAA tells us that more than half a dozen types of airplanes will be celebrating special anniversaries at AirVenture 2016. Among the aircraft types celebrating anniversaries at Oshkosh are the Vans RV-6 is now 30 years old. EAA will be celebrating the 40th anniversary of John Moody's 1976 flight during that year's convention. That flight led to what are now called ultralights. The Cessna 120 and 140 have now been around for 70 years. The Vintage Aircraft Association is celebrating the 70th anniversary of the Navion. EAA Warbirds of America is celebrating another 70th anniversary with the de Havilland Chipmunk primary trainer. The Vintage Aircraft Association is celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Interstate Cadet. EAA Warbirds of America is celebrating the 75th anniversary of the U.S. Army's 1941 Louisiana maneuvers, which is regarded as the birth of the grasshopper or the L-bird. And Stearman Aircraft will be commemorating Boeing's 100th anniversary. EAA's Rick Larson said, quote, "Along with these milestone anniversaries, there are dozens of other aircraft groups and type clubs that make EAA AirVenture their annual reunion place." With some 2,000 Aero-TV programs webcast to cyberspace, sometimes it can be fun to look back and enjoy some of the places we've seen, the flyers we've met, and the planes we've flown. Here's a look at one of our favorite Aero-TV classic episodes.
We always maintained the ability to do anything you can do with the touch, you can do with hard knobs. When we came out with the touch itself, we also came out with the hard control knobs. Without even looking at them, you can reach over and feel their...
The world of home-built experimental aircraft has led to some amazing developments, and Dynon's touchscreen avionics are an example of that. In this video, you'll see this leading technology in action. Search Dynon's hands-on approach on Aero-TV's news channel. After these messages, German court ruling settles code-sharing dispute.
Sandia introduces the new SAI 340 Quattro TSO'd airspeed, attitude, altitude, and slip. With integral backup battery, safety never looked so good. See it now at www.sandia.aero.
Concorde's recombinant gas RG series sealed battery technology produces a high-performance battery with the advantages of being pre-tested and fully charged at the factory. Find out more about Concorde's entire line of batteries at www.concordebattery.com. Concorde, the heart of your aircraft.
Since 2001, MGL Avionics has produced avionics for experimental and light sport aircraft. The flagship product is the IEFIS, a comprehensive next-generation flight, engine, and navigation instrument designed to meet the demands of the modern pilot. See more at www.mglavionics.com.
Welcome back. With so much news coming out of the aviation industry, we're summarizing some other interesting stories in a brief segment we call Around the Patch. Etihad Airways welcomed the ruling by the Higher Administrative Court in Nuremberg, Germany. The ruling reverses an earlier judgment and allows it to continue operating 26 out of the 31 code-share flights for the full winter schedule. Envoy flight attendants, represented by the Association of Flight Attendants, announced a tentative agreement on negotiation midterm improvements with Envoy Air Management. The midterm improvements raise the bar for pay and per diem and will cover over 1,200 Envoy flight attendants. AeroVironment has named Wahid Nawabi as president of the company in addition to his role as chief operating officer effective immediately. Tim Conver will continue as chairman and chief executive officer of AeroVironment. The company manufactures unmanned aircraft surveillance systems. Orbital ATK has successfully tested a 3D printed hypersonic engine combustor at NASA Langley Research Center. It was subjected to a variety of high-temperature hypersonic flight conditions, and analysis confirms the unit met or exceeded all of the test requirements. Triumph Aerostructures Vought Aircraft Division has delivered its first fully joined Embraer E2 CF3 AFT fuselage to Embraer from its Red Oak, Texas facility. The company contracted with Embraer in 2013 to design and build this component for the life of the program. Well, that's the trip around the patch. Now let's move on to the rest of the news. The Australian Transportation Safety Board has posted a response to an article that appeared earlier this month in an Australian newspaper about the ongoing search for the missing airliner that was operating as flight MH370. According to the ATSB, an article titled "The Case for Pilot Hijack" by Brian Bailey, appearing in the January 9, 2016 edition of the Weekend Australian, contained significant inaccuracies and misunderstandings about the ATSB's role in the search for MH370. Many of those inaccuracies were repeated in subsequent items, both in Australian and other media outlets. The ATSB said it is important that they correct the record. The ATSB response is lengthy, but the primary purpose of their statement is to inform the public of the role the ATSB plays in the search and that they are not involved with determining probable cause. That is up to the Malaysian government. The ATSB letter details numerous misunderstandings, assumptions, and inaccuracies in the newspaper article. As we at ANN have seen so often, when public media editorializes regarding aviation issues, it's rare to find that the facts play an important role in the story. Well, that's our program for today. Remember to get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Remember that Airborne Unlimited is streamed daily Monday through Friday with additional breaking news bulletins for important stories that fall outside of our normal deadlines. Please join us and a growing roster of over 100 outstanding industry associations and organizations every weekday for the best in aviation and aerospace news from the staff of the Aero-News Network, the aviation world's most comprehensive news and information resource.